We are back with another episode of Tidal Flooding Talk, brought to you by the New Jersey Coastal Coalition in conjunction with our broadcast partners at Tri-X 57. We are rolling through what is technically climatological spring. We are talking about historic winter storms of New Jersey. For this episode here, we just can't give up on winter just yet. Palma, how's it going? What's going on?
Well, you can tell I'm giving up on winter. I'm wearing the florals.
That's true.
Like I see spring, it's right there. So, but yeah, that's what's new with me. Just looking forward to some non-frozen weather.
Okay. Dan, are you in the same boat, or where are we at?
I usually look forward to March snow, and even though it's meteorological spring, we all know, we've had our St. Patrick's Day snowstorms in the middle of March. We've had first day of spring snowfalls. 2010s were especially snowy in March. So, I usually look forward to it, but this year the winter's been so cold and it's seemingly so long that I too can't wait for spring, flowers, free readers on the first day of spring, all the good stuff that comes with the season.
What is your go-to Rita's flavor, Dan?
Usually mango. Pretty boring.
I don't know if that's boring. No. What's yours, Palma?
I actually do a mango gelati a lot of the times, or lemon gelati, but yeah.
Mango?
How about you, Joe?
Not mango.
No?
I don't know, like blueberry, maybe.
Oh.
Yeah,
Dude, that's exciting.
That's too much for me.
Too much excitement.
It's not like a safe choice,
I don't know if mango's a safe choice either.
I think mango's one of the more popular, I think.
Okay, all right. I stand. Well, Rita's let us know. Anyway, let's bring in our guest for today, author Don Colgan. He is the author of, we're gonna see if this works in the background. Yes, Historic Winter Storms of New Jersey. Like I said, we're not done with winter just yet. Don, and I've been in contact for a while. I'm very honored that Don asked me to be a part of this book. So I'm happy to have a small say in this, but really he did all the heavy lifting on this. So Don, welcome to the show.
Thank
and then
you.
Also, you got to tell us your Rita's flavor now, since we're going around the horn on this.
Flavor?
Yeah.
Or what's your order? What do you order from Rita's?
Oh, Rita's. Yeah. Oh my gosh, cherry.
Cherry.
Yeah, cherry's
Cherry.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong.
Cherry's good too. Well, we'll get there on the first day of spring. So, Don, again, welcome and thanks for being here today. Tell us when the book came out, and what has your journey been as an author in the time since you published this book?
Well, the book was published on October 21st. It was 4 years and one rewrite in the making, and since I've followed meteorology since I was 10 years old, and I'm now 70, and I consider myself self-educated, although I couldn't pursue a degree in meteorology for personal reasons. But after publication, I have appeared at several Barnes and Nobles for authors events, one in Clark, one scheduled for Brick Township. I have appeared in multiple bookstores in Union County, and I've been on podcasts as well. The Joe and Joe Weather Show, which is two meteorologists you're probably quite familiar with.
We do. Joe Chaffee and Joe Rayo, right?
Yeah, Joe Chaffee did the foreword for my book, and he was a big part of it. And
great.
Yep, so I've probably made about 10 journeys throughout Union County. I'm also on an internet radio station called Joint Vision Worldwide 365. It's up in the Poconos. It's actually hosted by somebody from the north end of Elizabeth, Greg Leone, where I came from, and he has me on 3 times a week. He markets the book, and he also has me talk about the weather a little bit and talk about the book. So I've got a lot of spokes in the wheel.
Okay, yeah, Union County. I'm born and raised in Union County as a Union County guy myself. I know that Barnes and Noble in Clark very well. I used to go there many times as a young Joe. So anyway, go ahead, Dan. I'm sorry.
I was going to ask, well, 2 things. Number one, I know you said you're a weather enthusiast, a lifetime weather enthusiast. What kind of sparked 4 years ago the passion to write a book? And then I just wanted to also ask about a rewrite. Why the rewrite? Like why like how does that come about?
Oh, I can explain that. Well, it's been my life ambition to write a book, and I was very heavily involved in my career in electrical distribution and marketing, and I have been published before. I've been published in multiple magazines for topics such as recreational fishing, Fisherman Magazine, New Jersey Angler, even boxing. I have a background in historical boxing. It's diversified.
Sure.
But I just decided I was going to do it. And in 2023, I came up right where I am right now, and I began to bang it out. I had the framework, for the book already in my mind, and it took me about 2 years. And originally, I covered 44 winter storms, 44, and it was all done from the first person narrative. In fact, what it was my memory, and I have a very strong memory for not only major winter storms, but minor ones. I'm talking about the 1967, 68, 69. They're all up there. So I went to work and I write every single day. I still do to this day. So when I finished the manuscript, it was about 70,000 words at the time. Now the question was, how do I get it published? And my daughter said, try and find 10 publishers and narrow it down. My daughter's an adult, lives in California. And then I had an idea, and it was the best idea I've probably ever had. I'm going to find somebody who wrote a book just like this. And I began scrolling, and I found a gentleman named Jim Farfaglia. He lives in central New York State. He wrote a book about the great snowstorms of central New York State. And this is all based on lake effect snow coming off of the Finger Lakes, etc. And I emailed him, and he was a big part. He directed me to Arcadia Publishing. And the publisher was Bank Smithers. I sent him, with my introduction, I sent him the manuscript. And about 2.5 weeks later, I got a Dear John letter, saying that I lived in Colonia, Don. I remember all these storms, but the problem is Arcadia's format for authors is third person, not first person.
Mm.
And the entire book was in a first person.
Okay.
So I said, listen, I'm not giving up. I never throw in the towel. Let me redo the book, third person. He said, don't redo the book. Pick a storm out. Follow our format. And I went out, I began to do the interviewing, and the storm I selected was the blizzard of 96. And that's where I got in contact with Joe Chaffee. Craig Gallen also contributed to the blizzard of 96, several very prominent meteorologists. And I interviewed people probably from the shore areas on up towards where I live. I got about 5-6 interviews. They're all in the book. And photographs, and I sent the images back, and I sent the manuscript back, and they loved it. They loved it. So then I had a big challenge. I had to, he told me, narrow the storms down. You don't need 44. So I agreed, 16 is fine. I selected them. I went through the publisher, and then I began cold calling people. Historical societies were an invaluable help to me. The Sea Isle City Historical Society, the Cape May Historical Society, and the Sussex County Historical Society. A fellow named J.T. McCabe sent me photographs that were priceless. They were from a blizzard on January the 21st, 1905 in Newton, New Jersey.
Wow.
So they're all in the book. And I met my deadline was December 7th, 2024. I sent the manuscript over. We did the copywriting, the copy editing. It was a lengthy process. There was still some improvements and changes, but the book came to print last October 21st. A long journey. I stuck with it, and I'm proud of myself.
Awesome.
Very good. All right. Well, congrats to you. We're going to take our first break here. We're going to get into the meat and potatoes of this book here in just a minute on Tidal Flooding Talk. Thanks to the New Jersey Coastal Coalition, your flood insurance bills are lower and your streets safer from the reality of flooding. Since beginning in 2013, we build more resilient shoreline communities. Our member towns develop and share in best practices that anticipate future concerns and create flooding solutions. From our town-specific free web app for flooding information to our weekly Tidal Flooding Talk show, we focus on flooding 24/7. Visit www.njcoastalcoalition.com for more.
Hello and welcome back. You are watching Tidal Flooding Talk. We are brought to you by the New Jersey Coastal Coalition, and we would like to remind our viewers to prepare before the storm. Flooding can happen quickly. Prepare ahead of time by creating a disaster plan, assembling a go bag, and signing up for emergency alerts. Make sure your family knows evacuation routes and communication plans. Preparation saves lives.
We are here with Don Colgan, author of Historic Storms of New Jersey. Don, so let's kind of get into the book. So you said we have 16 storms, right? Is that how many we have in here?
Correct.
16 storms.
There's two other chapters as well, but they're not storms.
Two other chapters. So, let's talk about the coastal flooding with this. How much did you think about tidal flooding when you're looking at these winter storms? And in your opinion, how much do you think tidal flooding has to do with the culture of winter storms in New Jersey?
You take a look at the Great Atlantic Storm of 1962, which was more devastating, in my view, than Sandy.
In some spots, yeah.
Some spots from Sandy Hook south to Cape May, but really LBI south to Cape May. You had 5 high tide cycles. You had a powerful nor'easter that was kind of wobbling off the coast of the southern New Jersey and with no escape route. And the destruction that occurred with this storm. In fact, I collaborated with a woman named Margaret Buchholz, Pookie, she called herself. She's 93 years of age. And she wrote the book, Great Storms of the Jersey Shore.
Yes.
With Larry Saladov in the early 1990s. And she gave me a wonderful narrative, but houses were wiped out. Beachfront communities were destroyed. There was fires. It was extensive. It was not localized. Like Camp Osborne was destroyed during Sandy. And there was a 10-mile area where there was extensive destruction. Then a little bit north or south of that, not so much. But this was a wide area, particularly Long Beach Island, where you can make the argument 2/3 of the coastal communities were wiped off the face of the earth, just about. It was an enormous storm. And the 5 high tide cycles, there's a part of my book, Pat Haffert and his daughter helped me. He's with the Sea Isle City Historical Society, where they were living in their home, which was right on the beachfront. It was a big home. And they had family members over. Their tradition was to watch nor'easters. They would turn the TV on. They would watch nor'easters with their kids and grandkids. Well, this nor'easter came, and it became clear within an hour or two that it was a bad idea to have a gathering. The house was collapsing underneath of them, and they had to escape fast and wade a mile to a neighbor's home on higher ground. And their dog got lost. He was let out to go to the bathroom, and he never came back. The children were hysterical. The dog was feared lost to the storm, but the dog was waiting for them at the neighbor's house. He's in the book. There's a picture. Runzel. He's in the book. He sold some copies for me, by the way. But the point is that the destruction was somewhat unexpected. I mean, there was rain and snow in the forecast for the coastal communities and snow inland, but the duration of the storm was completely unexpected, and it was catastrophic.
Well, boy, am I glad that the dog was okay.
Oh, yeah, he was. Runzel made it.
Do you think that people underestimate winter storms, especially compared to hurricanes, when it comes to flood risk?
I would think so, but there are some exceptions. I think the blizzard of the storm of the century, March 12th through 14th, 1993, was, first of all, it was very well modeled. I mean, there was no hesitation about that one. The model data at that time was in agreement that there was going to be a powerful coastal event of historic proportions along the eastern seaboard, and there was. And people were advised that, if you live along the coastal plain, to make preparations for and anticipate, significant beach erosion and possible destruction. So I think when the alarm bells are sounded loud enough, particularly if you live at the shore, because I did for 20 years, you pay attention to it. The blizzard of '96 was another example, and the great blizzard of February the 19th, 2003, which brought over 2 feet of snow. There were significant coastal impacts there. But the thing is, these storms came and went. They did not have repetitive high tide cycles. So I think that helped. But again, the same thing with the January blizzard of 2016, January 21st and 22nd. It did an enormous amount of structural and beach damage. And I do believe people were tuned into that. And if they lived down there, they paid attention to it. But a hurricane is one thing. When people hear hurricane watch, hurricane warning, an entirely different mindset occurs. That's why I felt there should have been a hurricane watch and a hurricane warning issued for Hurricane Sandy. I think the end result would have been possibly, if not less destruction, less loss of life.
Yeah, we've discussed this on Tidal Flooding Talk before on this show about Sandy, and we as the weather community learned, I think after Sandy was the telling point that we don't necessarily have to be by the book. Oh, it's not a warm core storm, so we can't name it a hurricane. Like the way you're going to communicate it matters as well, and that's that's important. Let me ask you this, Don. Did you look at how people perceived storms before and after the National Weather Service was, issuing winter storm watches and warnings? I mean, they weren't issuing winter storm watches and warnings since they started in 1870.
Oh no, there was
yeah. So is that something you looked at in terms of the warnings from the NWS and how that parlayed into?
Well, yes, absolutely. When you look at, for example, the Boxing Day snowstorm of December the 26th, 1947, which is 26.4 inches in Central Park, and I think the same amount in Newark. They were forecasting 1 to 3 inches of snow on Christmas Day. There was back then the National Weather Bureau did not issue warnings or watches. It was in the post-war era. They actually minimized the amount of information. If your readers might like to know this, during World War II, the forecasts that were issued in newspapers were one sentence or less. They minimized sunshine hot today, rain tomorrow, because there was fear that the Germans could gain an advantage by knowing the specifics. But anyway, with that storm, there was the Great Lindsey Storm of 1969, February the 9th, 1969, which ended his political career within a couple of years. Again, I believe there was a winter, heavy snow watch was issued for northwestern New Jersey and the lower Hudson Valley. And the rest of the forecast was basically snow developing around midnight Sunday night, changing to rain heavy at times, local street and highway flooding, might change to snow before ending Sunday night. And of course, the low pressure center formed about 30 miles farther east. The winds went to northeast from southeast between 11 p.m. and 1 a.m. Saturday night, Sunday morning, and we ended up having 14 to 26 inches of snow.
Don, I can't resist asking you this because this is a popular question from past shows. I mean, number one, I think your memory is amazing. Not big storms, dates, amounts, but you mentioned little storms too. I can't remember them. I think that's incredible. But what's your opinion on naming winter storms? Do you think that is a...
No, I don't like it. I don't think I don't agree with the commercialization of winter storms. I just
don't. All right, you fit right in here perfectly.
Fit right in. Wait, hold on. Quick follow-up though. What if NOAA was to name winter storms? Are you okay with that? Don?
What's that?
I know. I was saying, what if? I left you speechless. I said, what if NOAA was to name winter storms?
They wouldn't.
Okay.
But if they did, it would add an air of legitimacy to it, I suppose.
Yeah.
But it doesn't sound like, unless something's happening that I don't know about, it just doesn't sound like the way the National Weather Service or NOAA would approach and handle these systems.
I'm not aware of any.
I just don't see it. They haven't.
All right, we're going to take our final break here. We'll come back with Don on Tidal Flooding Talk. Thanks to the New Jersey Coastal Coalition, your flood insurance bills are lower and your streets safer from the reality of flooding. Since beginning in 2013, we build more resilient shoreline communities. Our member towns develop and share in best practices that anticipate future concerns and create flooding solutions. From our town-specific free web app for flooding information to our weekly Tidal Flooding Talk show, we focus on flooding 24/7. Visit www.njcoastalcoalition.com for more.
Welcome back to this week's Tidal Flooding Talk, talking with Don Colgan, author of Historic Storms of New Jersey. And Don, I mean, was it tough condensing it down to 16? And let me ask you, do you remember the 17th storm, the one that you wanted to include, but you had to leave out?
Yeah, no, it wasn't tough. I just basically was able to focus on the most impactful storms, and a lot of the original 44 were not historic, but they were exciting.
Yeah.
By the way, if you look at the end of my book, there's a list of storms which didn't make the cut. There's probably another 15 or 16, and I gave a brief description of them. There's some photographs, images too. Brief description of their impacts, the snowfall totals, etc. And one of them I struggled with to the very end was the October 29th, 2011, the heavy wet snowstorm, historic October snowstorm that affected New Jersey and the Pocono region into New York State. That was historic. I did not include it. I still go back and forth on that a little bit.
Okay.
I included another storm which was far less impactful, but I think was historic, and that was the Thanksgiving snowstorm of the 23rd of November in 1989. And I thought I had good rationale for that, but it was teetering back and forth.
Yep.
Now, what do you hope your readers walk away with after reading your book?
Well, two things. I want them to walk away with the importance of being weather aware. It's a phrase I use again and again and again. I want them to walk away with having read a book that has a true historical impact. That these are human beings I interviewed from Cape May, Sea Isle City, Point Pleasant, Morristown, Montage, New Jersey, all throughout the state. People who remember the storms, they lived through them. They have their story to tell. Some were near catastrophic, some weren't. Some were even humorous to a degree. It's the human element. So I want people to become more educated about weather and stop listening to the apps and start listening to the meteorologists. I also
we appreciate that. We'll take that one.
One last thing. I really want this book, I'm striving to get it into the hands of young people aspiring to be meteorologists. I think the history, because each chapter, there's the interviews and the storm stories, but it's preceded by my explanation of the meteorology of each storm. So there's some specifics and some meat in there, how these storms develop, the phasing, et cetera, et cetera. I want young people aspiring to be meteorologists, if they could get this book in their hands, I think it would help them. It would broaden their knowledge.
Yeah, I think people should start adding that to their Facebook bios or their dating profiles, weather aware.
I tried to get it into Rutgers and Canes, not successful yet, although Rutgers did buy the book.
Hey, listen, now's our platform. I mean, I'm in it, so I'm biased, but this is a nice book. And it's a nice size too. How many pages are we at down here? 188, maybe? Yeah. It's a nice read. It's not, it's not going to overwhelm you. It's not War and Peace, but it's, it has a lot. It's a good story. Like it's good stories because we have all different storms here. So, Don, tell us where we can find the book and buy it, and where we can find out more about you.
Oh, sure. First of all, I'm going to visit my author's page, www.historicwinterstormsofnj.com. And you can learn a lot about me just by visiting the page. It was very well put together. The book can be purchased. It's in all the Barnes and Nobles. It's in many bookstores because Arcadia Publishing, the publisher, has a very, very wide network. So it's in bookstores throughout the state of New Jersey. Even you can even order it on Target or through
Right.
Amazon as well. And I'm certain one thing I'm looking for is of any reviews that can be submitted. Even you, Joe, if you want. I mean,
Yeah.
to
Yeah, we'll
Amazon.
do it.
There's
Sure.
about 7 or 8 already there. That would make that would help a lot. But right now, I'm very satisfied with the way, not just the sales, but the reception I've gotten. I and my children are very proud of me too. So it is the culmination of a lifetime dream.
Great. It's a nice, capstone of a career of weather enthusiasm that won't die, but just continues to grow. But you have a lot of experience of these storms. So that's great. And yeah, do buy the book, Historic Winter Storms in New Jersey. It's really nice. It's a nice couple of hours you'll spend reading. So, but with that, let's get into the one thing we can't stop talking about: tidal flooding or otherwise. Dan, we're gonna have to go a little quick. We got 2 minutes left, but what's happening?
Not a lot. March, is doldrum for sports for me. Football's over, baseball is on the cusp. But I will say I do love March Madness and can't wait for, especially the first weekend of that. Bring it on. We'll love college basketball in March.
All right, I'll have to get you in my bracket this year, Dan.
All right, absolutely.
Yeah, Palmer, you do bracket? You do bracketology? You do March Madness bracket?
No.
No, okay.
You know me, I just watch hockey. That's about it.
Well, we'll get you on the NHL playoff.
I'm looking forward to the Mets' first exhibition game Saturday.
There we go.
The torture begins.
Torture does begin for Mets fans. Papa, go ahead.
I think this episode is inspiring me. I would like to start reading more again. Ever since I had
Get the book.
My daughter, ever since I had
That
my
is.
daughter, who's going to be 3 soon, I just haven't really had the time. But now I think I could set some time aside for that.
Right.
Nice.
I'll keep it in the reading family here because I did say in last week's episode that I'm listening to audiobooks, which is true, but and I'm going to get to this book, but I'm having such a tough time. And the one thing that's on my mind is every probably Thursday, I'm this weekend, or I usually don't work Sunday, Monday, unless the weather, but I'm Sunday, I'm going to stop reading. I'm going to start reading. I just never do. So I have to chain myself to the couch one day and just start reading. So that's what I got. And it's going to be Historic Winter Storms in New Jersey. So Don, I'll let you finish. What's on your mind? Tidal flooding or otherwise?
Well, my eyes are glued to the incoming model information and the evolution of this coastal storm, which looks like it could be an extremely formidable storm. But what I'd like to see one more impactful snowfall, because it seems like after the 25th of January, we have I only have a few tenths of an inch since then. Other areas have had a little more. So I'm looking for an active March. I love winter storms, of course, and following the evolution of them, it's a self-education, and considering you as an education, and I'm not a meteorologist, but I'm a good weatherman.
Well, no, I love the weather enthusiasm. You email me, I don't know, a couple times a week or once, whatever, depends on how the weather is about what's going on, and appreciate your enthusiasm. And I'm learning from you with the book here. I also just want to say too, we're actually recording this more than a week before we're actually launching this in March. So Don is talking about computer models for a storm, but it's not this upcoming weekend from when we launch it. It was in the past at this point. So we want to get back to you and let you know how that storm was in the past. So anyway, with that, we're going to wrap it on up for Don, Dan, and Palma. I'm Joe Martucci. We'll be back with you next Tuesday with another Tidal Flooding Talk.
Thank you, Joe.